I just saw it last night. It's fresh. I haven't prepared a review. I'm just kind of spitballing. I'm just a fan of Star Wars. To give you guys an idea of my Star Wars fandom, I guess. I like the old trilogy the most. I also really like the prequel trilogy. My favorite film is Empire Strikes Back. I like the Clone Wars, both the two-dimensional and three-dimensional shows. I think they're great. I've enjoyed like tons of Star Wars comic books, pretty much every single video game ever made, ever, pretty much. That gives you an idea of where I'm coming from as a fan, okay? You know what I like. Also, I'm a bit biased, but I also think if I was going to rank my Star Wars movies, I would go Empire Strikes Back, followed by either Return of the Jedi or A New Hope, followed by Revenge of the Sith, which I think is also super dope. I think Revenge of the Sith is legit. It's up there, so if some people think it's their favorite, I totally get it. It's awesome. And I'm biased towards Phantom Menace, yeah. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I just want to say, this is going to be Master's opinion. Everybody has an opinion. This is mine. If you disagree with me, that's a-okay. I hope you respect my opinion like I respect yours. It's just an opinion. It's mine. And I'm going to be really honest, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to stick it to anyone. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion of a fan who's watched Star Wars for a very long time. Okay? Are we good? This is probably the last time I'm going to look at the chat before we jump into this doozy. Green. Okay. I don't really know exactly where to start, so I'm just gonna get into pretty much everything. I'm probably gonna hop around. Okay? Man, where do we even begin? Where do we even begin? Okay. Rey is a humongous Mary Sue. She's God in this movie. She can do anything, and she does. And whenever she says something has to be done, it needs to be done, and she does it. And she bats 1,000. She's just unstoppable. Incredible. I'm just gonna get into the spoilers. Let's just get into it. So Leia dies, and the way she dies is by saying the word Ben. Yeah. She says Ben and then dies. And this is so bizarre that they even have to prep the audience with the script moments before by having Maz Kanata say, "It's going to take everything for Leia now to reach him." Basically, she's like priming you, hey, she's gonna die now. And it makes no sense, so I'm just gonna pretend like it's some kind of like thing of the Force that she's gotta croak, okay? And they prep you like that, and it makes no sense. As far as my opinion, it's my opinion. And when she does it, Kylo stops fighting Rey and just kind of turns. I think he even turns his lightsaber off, but I don't remember. And he just turns and just looks off into the distance and clearly has stopped fighting. Like, stopped fighting. So if this was like Luke Skywalker in Rey's position, I don't think he would have impaled Kylo like a fucking Sith. But Rey, I think, takes his lightsaber and impales him. Mortal wound. And he's like, oh shit, like, I just got stabbed through the chest because I apparently forgot I was in the middle of a lightsaber duel. And then Rey is like, LOL, just kidding. I'm gonna heal you. And she does. She's, I don't know how she learned how to do that, but damn. Pretty OP. So she just like reses him completely. And then leaves in his ship, I think. So how does he get back at the end of the movie? I don't know. I have no idea. Who knows? And the opening... See, I'm just going to jump around because it's all a jumbled mess in my head from watching it in the theater. So forgive me for hopping about. It just... Right in the beginning, it's like, what's up? Palpatine's back, and he's been talking. I guess literally, because people have literally heard him talking. And he's back. And the whole galaxy knows, and it's just like this big announcement that happens. Like, kind of like Voldemort is back. He's back. It's pretty random, and just like slapped in there right at the beginning. And you're like, okay. Yeah, he's back. That seems to negate everything Anakin and Luke did, but we'll see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. And then they have to find... It becomes basically a World of Warcraft quest of MacGuffins, where you gotta go find this thing, and then plug it in so you can go find this next thing, and once you find that thing, then you can go find, you know, the Emperor, I guess. So they find a holocron to go to find a dagger, to go find some other shit. Finn, I'm gonna keep hopping around. Finn doesn't seem to have a character arc in this movie or the one before it, or the first one. He just screams Rey all the time while running up into the camera looking epic, screaming Rey and following her around like a lost puppy dog. That seems to be his entire story. For all three of the movies, it's just that. He also serves as just like one-liner quips at Poe. They're just like snarking at each other the whole movie. Because in the end of The Last Jedi, you know, they all meet for the first time. They meet for the first freaking time as like a group at the end of the second movie. Not exactly the best time to bring your cast together, but that's when it happens. And they're all on good terms, and Poe's like, hey, what's up? And Rey's like, I'm Rey. And he's like, I know. Because apparently you're a god. And then right at the start of this new movie, they're like, they're at each other's throats. There's tension. Poe and Rey are not getting along, and she goes out of her way to call him a difficult man or something. And then Finn like waggles his fin at Poe at some point in the movie too. Because Poe's like, well, I'm not Leia. And Finn's like, well, that's for damn sure. As if, like, it's like an insult. Like, yeah, Poe, you're not Leia. You suck. Like, people are like crapping on Poe. I don't understand that. But that seems to be what they're doing. I don't know. It seems out of the blue. Well, I guess not totally out of the blue, because they kind of shit on Poe in the second movie. He's revered as like this ace pilot, awesome, positive guy in The Force Awakens. And then he's seen as some brash asshole with his head in his cockpit. And he's just not listening to orders, and he's not ready for leadership. And then they just like triple down on that, and he's just really shitty in this one. Emperor's back, baby. Yes, I have returned, and everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. It's been me the whole time, behind the curtain, pulling the strings. They totally planned for this all the way back in 2015. Right? No. Oh, I don't think so. But hey, they're yanking him out of the hat like a rabbit because everyone loves Ian McDiarmid and the Emperor's cool. So let's just bring him back. Let's just bring him back. And they do. And they do. Oh, they do. And he's pretty much a corpse. And there's some cool visualry. Some cool visuals of like this crane arm supporting him. There's no explanation for why he's there, why he's been hanging out there for 30 years by himself. There's a whole arena of like shadowy Sith people. It's like thousands of them. What happened to the Ruler 2? Who the fuck are these people? It's never explained. We don't know. Who cares? He's just amassed an entire fleet of Star Destroyers by himself. He just did that. And they all have mini Death Star guns on them. So instead of making a much bigger Death Star, like in 7, this time they're taking the super big Death Star and splitting it up into mobile little Star Destroyers. Because Star Wars has to be about blowing up planets every time. Yeah. I'm going to keep hopping around. I'm going to hop around from the cinematography to the story to the acting. I'm sorry if it's jumbled. I'm sorry. Not really, though. Acting. There's two people who really stood out to me as fantastic in the movie in terms of like acting chops and being impressive, just from an acting standpoint. Like, damn, nice job. And that would be Oscar Isaacs and Adam Driver. Okay, because Poe in this movie basically is there for the other cast to just like be kind of like irritated with and to spout exposition. And it's like, really, it's exposition, man. He's just saying exposition nonstop. So wow, props to you, sir, Mr. Oscar. You're an amazing actor, because you made some really, if I'm being really frank, in my opinion, awful exposition sound pretty good. Pretty good. You made that sound pretty good. Which is amazing and a huge compliment, because I don't think there are many actors that can do that. Another actor that comes to mind that has that just like moxie and those chops would be Ewan McGregor. That guy can say anything, and man, he elevates it. He elevates that shit around him. And Poe has that ability, and I feel like the script goes as hard against his character as possible, and he still somehow does something. Nice job. Didn't seem like he had much to work with. Adam Driver's the other one. He basically has to redo his whole speech with his pops. Oh yeah, Han Solo's in this. Han Solo's in this. Is he a ghost? Is he the imagination of Kylo? We don't know. I guarantee, I'll tell you this though. Harrison Ford got paid to do this. I guarantee you. And I say props to Mr. Ford. Hey, Mr. Ford, props to you. Make those credits. Hell yes. So he's in it. And he basically gives the same exact speech, and you know, with Kylo, it's like a redo of the whole like bridge scene. And then Kylo throws his lightsaber into the ocean. Apparently Skywalkers just love throwing their lightsabers into the ocean, or just away from themselves these days. Because Luke does it. He's like, screw this. He does it once in Return of the Jedi, but that's more like a defiant, I've bested your tests, Emperor. What's up? I'm a Jedi. Can't touch this. He was going to pick it up when he was leaving with Pops, okay? But he really throws it away in The Last Jedi. And then Adam Driver really throws it away. And for those of you that are like, oh, he's rejecting Kylo Ren, whatever. It's still a lightsaber. It's a useful thing to have. Whether you're light side or dark side. The lightsaber doesn't make you light side or dark side or whatever you are. You would take that shit with you if you're going to face the Emperor, is my point. But tosses it in the ocean. At one point, Rey tries to throw not even her freaking lightsaber. Now she's trying to throw away Luke's lightsaber into the fire to destroy it. Wow. The disrespect. Mamma mia. Wow. But Luke, the Force Ghost, catches it. Yes, the Force Ghost catches the lightsaber, and then Luke has like 120-second scene at max, maybe 3 minutes, I don't know. And he says pretty much the exact opposite of everything in The Last Jedi. It's just a 180. He's like, yeah, the Jedi are great. You know, it's all about confronting fear. And I'm thinking, where the fuck were you with this shit in The Last Jedi, Luke? Or even in The Force Awakens, which you're not in. But now all of a sudden he's rah-rah for Jedi. He loves the Jedi. Oh, Jedi. And he's like, Rey, you gotta do it, okay? And then he raises the X-Wing, and they play the exact same music as from Empire Strikes Back when he lifts it. And it's just a full-on member-berry moment. I'm like, remember how cool Empire was? And remember how Luke's awesome? And don't you like Luke? This movie, right? Right? Look. Just pandering and nostalgia pandering big time there. And then instead of seeing Luke fly it, we see Rey fly it. And she's even wearing the helmet. She's flying Red 5. She's just taking all of his shit. And it just reminds me of that Batwoman show where she just takes his cape, takes his Batmobile, takes all of his gadgets, takes pretty much his name and identity. That's kind of what's happening. I would have liked to have seen Luke fly Red 5 once in the sequel trilogy, is my point. Maybe just once. Or maybe him lifted out of the water while he's still alive and able to make a difference. I don't know. Instead of like Force Skyping his way in there lazily and not even showing up and then dying from force Skype telekinesis overload, I guess. So Rey's a god, and she can heal everybody. And then Kylo's like, that's cool and all, but I can literally resurrect the dead. And then he does. And he reses Rey, because Rey kills Emperor, of course, completely by herself. Okay. So she just handles and yeets the Emperor right after he comes back, making me wonder, why is this guy even coming back? She's just like, LOL, get wrecked. Get wrecked, son. And wrecks him. But she gets wrecked in return. And then Kylo climbs out of the hole conveniently. Right after it's all over. When it's all over, he shows up. And he's like, alright, I'm just gonna res her, because I know how to do that too now. And he literally resurrects her from the dead. Like Neo. And then... then he kisses her. Or she kisses him, but they kiss. And then he dies. Which leads me to wonder, why isn't Rey just like, oh no, and just like res him again? Because we can all res each other now. So just res him back. What's the deal? Like, worst case scenario, you flop over dead again and he's back and you can just trade. You can go back and forth, you know? I'm not saying that Rey and Kylo should never have kissed in a set of movies. In this set of movies, it makes no sense. And it sends a really strange message. And this is just my opinion, man. This is my opinion. It sends a really weird message to little girls watching this movie. Like, you know, make out with the sociopath that sides with the dark side and kills people and kills your technical father figure in Han Solo. You should make out with him. I get redeeming him, because Luke wanted to redeem Vader. Like, yeah, he's pretty messed up, but I want to redeem him. But making out with him? I don't know. Hey, whatever. Whatever. The Emperor makes up some bullshit about them being some duo and that they're super powerful. You are too connected in the Force, so you're super strong, even like more so than Chosen One strong. We're talking like super duper. It's like more epic, okay? So there's like some special thing there. Yet she still by herself defeats the Emperor. If they really are, you know, a duo of superpower, wouldn't it take the duo of superpower to overdo all of the Sith? All of the Sith. I am the greatest Sith. No, turns out you just need Rey because she's so kick-ass. You can just throw Kylo down a hole for the interesting parts. Fuck him. Also, apparently all the Sith live in Emperor Palpatine. Because he says that. They announce everything in this movie. Like, they have to say things out loud all the time. All of the Sith now apparently live in Emperor. And then Rey's like, and all of the Jedi live in me. And then she, like, takes a second lightsaber. Because she has Leia and Luke's lightsaber now. It wasn't enough to steal one of the Skywalker's property. She's had to confiscate both of them. And she does. And then she makes a cross with it. And she exorcises the demon, so to speak, with her cross lightsaber. And literally blows Emperor's head off. And then just nukes him. With his own electricity back in his face. And you would think if you're the Emperor that A, you would have learned about this from when Mace Windu already did it to you once. And B, if the electricity is blowing your skin off your face and about to nuke your head off your shoulders, perhaps stopping the electricity would have been a good idea. But Emperor was like, nah, let's just hold this down, see what happens. Oh, my head exploded. And then all the Sith around him explode like Mordor. And the Eye of Sauron comes crashing down. And who are these thousands of people in dark hoods? Like, where did they come from? Who are these people? There's a new droid. It's gonna be a hopping around, man. There's a new droid, and I'm gonna be honest. And you can't call me a hater. Well, you can, because I'm a hater. But you can't call me a hater on droids, because even back in The Force Awakens, which I didn't like, I complimented BB-8 and said, I like this addition to Star Wars. I like BB-8. He's cool. He's fun. He's unique. He's awesome. I like BB-8. So I'm not anti everything that's been introduced. But this new droid sucks. It literally speaks. It's I think Poe called him Coneface. So I'm going to call him Coneface. I don't like Coneface. I think he's annoying. It's like BB-8 gets his own pet droid, so we're just like, it's like those Russian dolls that just get smaller and smaller. We get a smaller version that's like now the pet BB-8 to look after. Oh, isn't it cute? It's not cute. It's dumb. I don't like it. And he's always making jokes that aren't funny. Feels very Marvel humor. I didn't like it. Coneface can get wrecked as far as Master's concerned. Get out of here. What else? What else? The movie just hops around so much. We're going over here. We're going over here. Over here. Now we're going over here. Lots of pandering. Lots of nostalgia pandering. Luke's part in it. I just didn't feel anything. Didn't feel anything. And then, at the end of the movie, Rey goes to Tatooine. Not because the story dictates that it should happen. Not because the script, organically takes us there. No, it's just we gotta get a sweet, badass shot of the twin sunset with the Force theme one more time with Rey, so we can just ooh, Star Wars, nailed it, stamped it. Like, that's why we're going back. Let's be honest, it's not because of the story. And then she buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers, and I'm sitting here wondering once again, why are you burying it? It feels like you're burying Star Wars. Why bury them? Especially if you announce that you are a Skywalker, which you totally do. She identifies as a Skywalker, guys. Some old lady comes up to her, and she's like, "No one's been here in forever." But apparently you are, old lady. What are you doing on this animal in the middle of nowhere? But she's here. And Rey's like, "I'm Rey." And then the lady's like, "Rey who?" And she goes, "Skywalker." And then she looks off in the distance. And Luke and Leia are like proud parents, like smiling as Force ghosts, like approving of this massacre of the Skywalker lineage and this confiscation of the Skywalker lineage. Because she's a Palpatine. Yeah, spoiler alert. There's a spoiler alert behind me. She's a Palpatine. Apparently she's a granddaughter of Palpatine. Yep. We'll get into that some more too. So she just announces, because she feels like it, that she's a Skywalker. "I'm a Skywalker. I'm gonna take Red 5, and these lightsabers, and his helmet, and his legacy, just 'cause. It's mine now. I'm Rey Skywalker." What? And if you were really an individual, you'd be yourself. You'd be okay with just being Rey. What happened to that whole, doesn't matter if you come from nowhere, which they just pushed on us in The Last Jedi. You can be anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. Right? So just being a strong point of view in your own mind, Rey, should have been enough. You should have just been like, "I'm Rey, and that's enough." But no, you're Rey Skywalker now, so you're just erasing what happened before it. So this trilogy to me just goes, the first movie is like a plot point for plot point, remake of A New Hope. So it's just a retelling, kind of like Ghostbusters 2016. Is it a remake? Is it a redo? Is it a new story? We don't really know. It's kind of both. So the first movie is that, and then the second movie, to me, is like the Antichrist of Star Wars, and basically says, burn it down. The Jedi suck. Forget the past. Kill it if you have to. They literally say that in the movie. They literally say that. And then right after that movie, this movie's like, just kidding. The opposite of that. Actually, the Jedi rock, and we love Star Wars, and Luke's cool again, and all this good stuff. It's a good metaphor for this would be Kylo in his helmet. He's got his helmet. It's badass. And then in the second one, no, the helmet sucks. I'm gonna break it. I don't like it anymore. And then, just kidding, we're gonna glue it back together. We actually liked it. Make up your mind. There's a scene of Luke and Leia training. And this part makes me kind of sad. And by kind of sad, I mean it depresses the shit out of me. Because it was a what could have been moment. Because the CGI is good enough at this point. Especially with it's dark out. They have like some glowy lightsaber effects on their face. So there's enough things going on where the CGI is pretty well hidden. And it looks like a young Leia and a young Luke training as Jedi. And it's like, man. By the way, Leia beats Luke. Yeah, fucking right. Leia is so amazing in even the flashback. Luke apparently as Jedi Master can't beat anybody. Okay, can't beat Kylo, can't beat Rey, because Rey defeats him in The Last Jedi and just like leaves him on the ground looking like a sissy, can't beat his own sister, who's not even really that trained in the Force yet, when he's a Jedi freaking master, but apparently he loses. But aside from that nonsense, it was really beautiful seeing the two Skywalkers, even for like 60 seconds, together in some way, even though it's kind of hollow and vain because it's CGI, but like you get to kind of see it. And it's what should have been happening all through the build-up to 7, so that when you see Leia in Episode 7, she is a Jedi Master just like Luke Skywalker is, and then you could kind of believe them maybe defeating each other, you know, like they'd be a little bit more on equal footing because she's dedicated so much time. And I said all this back in Episode 7. I'm like, why is Leia not super trained in the Force? Why isn't she wearing some Jedi robes some of the time? And if she's really dedicated her life to the Republic, and the New Republic, and really taking on that leadership role, I get that. Because what's more empowering for a chick than to be able to decide what she wants to do? Do I want to be a Jedi Master? Do I want to do that? Or do I want to lead the New Republic and be like the leader of this new existence in life in the galaxy? And she had that decision. And so she kind of ends up, I think at least she was supposed to, kind of doing both a little. And being pretty awesome at both. And having kids. And it's just like she got to do everything. But she dedicates a little bit more of her time to the New Republic, whereas Luke goes all the way, just like, I'm going to dedicate to the Jedi and rebuilding the Jedi Order, which we never see, never happens. Never get that payoff. It's really sad and depressing. But for a few seconds, you kind of see them training together, and that's really nice. Luke should have absolutely not lost. He's a Jedi Master at that point. Come on, man. I mean, seriously? Really? They just hate Luke. And that's no disrespect to Leia at all, because again, I thought she should have been a Jedi in 7. In 7. Yeah, what else? Emperor looked cool. I don't want to just be a hater. I'll say some of the cool stuff. There's amazing visuals. And there should be, because it's Star Wars and it's 2019. And Star Wars in 2015 should have been amazing visually too, and it was. You know? So that's not impressive to me when it's that's a prerequisite. It better look amazing. It's the future of Star Wars. This should look incredible. That's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. And in my opinion, it ends up being a lot of substance lost and a lot of flash in your face. That's it. A lot of flash, not a lot of substance. What else? I just got to get this off my chest as a Star Wars fan, guys. I got to do it. If you liked it, that's awesome. That's great. Awesome. I've got nothing against that. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. It's just opinions. It feels like the biggest missed opportunity in cinema history. It's the biggest disappointment of, well... And before you guys go ahead and try and crucify me and say, it's just, you didn't get exactly what you want. Nah, I'm not saying that at all. But was asking for 60 seconds with Han, Luke, and Leia together again? If that's asking too much, then I asked for too much. Sorry. I guess my expectations are just way too crazy. Even though you had all 3 of them signed on from the very get-go, and you could have written in a 60-second scene in the first movie of them together. You didn't. You opted to intentionally murder Han Solo and not have Luke in the first movie, so you just made it on purpose. Legitimately, you consciously made that decision. I will not let Han and Luke hang out again. What a bummer. What a drag. Like, damn. Biggest missed opportunity in cinema history right there. It's a shame. And Leia is Rey's Jedi Master. Yeah, not Luke. Luke doesn't train Rey. Luke, the hero of the OT, the Jedi Master, who becomes a Jedi Knight through trials and tribulations, and redeems Darth Vader, helps defeat the Emperor. Apparently not, though, because LOL, he's back. After falling down a pit and exploding and being atomized. He's back. Didn't matter. Everything Anakin and Luke did didn't matter, because he's back. So that Luke doesn't get to train the next Jedi. He just gets to, like, wave his pom-poms as a Force ghost. While Leia, who the actor for this character is actually dead in real life during this movie, so someone who's not even there. That's the person that trains Rey, and Rey calls her master at some point, and I'm like, this might have made sense if you had established that Luke had trained her through 7 and 8, but you didn't do any of that through 7 and 8, and now you're just saying she's a Jedi Master and she's got a lightsaber. Like, none of that's justified in the story. I'm sorry, it's not justified, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. I want to give some overarching thoughts for all the characters now, as best I can. John Boyega did a good job. He's a really charismatic actor. John Boyega is a charismatic guy. And it's a shame that he was reduced to yelling, "Rey!" while running up to the camera with like epic shots and just doing like funny one-liners to the peanut gallery and to like Poe. That's what he does. What a disappointment, because hear me out on this. He's a brainwashed ex-stormtrooper, right? What's a good example of a brainwashed soldier? The Unsullied, okay? So from birth, they're trained to be ruthless, murderers, killers, right? They follow orders. But in this movie, and in the movies previous, they just pretend like none of that really matters. Any post-traumatic stress disorder that Finn would have been going through by trying to fight the brainwashing and go against it, none of that happens, and he's just instantly this charming boy next door, super funny, just, he's awesome. It doesn't make any sense. And it's such a humongous wasted opportunity, because if these movies actually were planned out from the beginning, where you're like, this is where Finn starts, this is where he goes in 8, this is where he finishes in 9. If you had just thought about that a little and said, for Finn's character, we're going to explore a stormtrooper defecting, going through post-traumatic stress disorder, and realizing he's force sensitive. Wow, how sick would that have been, right? And they kind of teased that with the trailers in 7, and then none of that happens at all. None of that happens. It's just like, whatever. He's just there to be funny and not really do anything. Seeing him struggle to break the PTSD in The Force Awakens would have been amazing. You know, really having to break through some stuff. Because in this last movie, he talks to this chick, and they're like, "Oh, you're First Order? Oh, I'm First Order. Oh, we were both indoctrinated." And they both just casually talk about how they refused to follow orders, and the whole regiment we wouldn't fire on innocent people. I'm like, yo, if you had brainwashed stormtroopers, yes, you would have. You can't just be like, no, just kidding, we're gonna like not follow orders. No, you would. Something would really have to happen. It would require creative writing and some thought, but you could push him to the point where he finally would break and leave. But it wouldn't be on the first thought of, this might not be a good idea. Wouldn't be that easy, because you've been brainwashed since childbirth, or since childhood. Okay? What a wasted opportunity that was. Poe, let's go to Poe next. Starts out as this badass pilot. I like it. He's very confident. He's a really cool guy. And then in the second one, he kind of gets shamed for embracing his instincts and following his gut, which ended up being right. But he still gets shamed anyway by Holdo, the purple hair lady, and basically says you should just listen and you messed up, even though he was totally right and that there should have been a plan in place, and if there was, you should have explained it, because Holdo literally lets every cruiser in the fleet get destroyed, and then when it's just her ship left, then she does the maneuver. Not before, when her friends are alive to save, but after. She's the worst. That is the worst commander ever. She lets a mutiny happen, and then even when the mutiny's happening, she still won't be like, hey, I actually do have this plan. I should probably let you know now because you're pointing a gun at me. But no, she doesn't. But so the moral of the story at the end of all of that is she was right anyway. And Poe, you suck. Learn your lesson, you asshole. It's a terrible message. And then in this movie, they just kind of reaffirm it. He's argumentative with Finn. He's argumentative with Rey. He gets called a difficult man. He gets like mocked for not being like Leia, who's awesome, unlike him. It's just like a finger waggling. That's not really a character arc, in my opinion. It's just sad. It's just sad. Rey is a horrible character. I'm not saying anything bad about Daisy Ridley. Rey, the character, is terrible. In episode 7, she excels to the maximum with no adversity, no problem. I'm amazing. No training. In 8, it's the same thing. In 9, it's the same thing. It just gets more and more ridiculous how amazing she becomes. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, when I watched The Force Awakens, she knew how to do mind tricks. She knew how to defeat Kylo Ren with a lightsaber, even though in that same movie, like 30 minutes before, she's force freezed. He just legitimately freezes her with the Force, and she can't move. Game over. And then 30 minutes later, he can't do that. He can't defeat her. In fact, he struggles to even defeat Finn, someone who's never held a lightsaber in his life. Oh, but he was shot by Chewbacca. Okay, yo. Okay. That wouldn't have stopped Maul. That wouldn't have stopped Luke. That wouldn't have stopped Anakin. Okay, that's a lame excuse. A guy in his 30s, trained for decades, couldn't beat someone who had never trained in the Force for even 24 hours. Pathetic. Fail. It also makes Rey seem ridiculously overpowered. I'm sorry. It's just really overpowered. Now, when this happened in the movie, I remember thinking to myself, that's not very good writing, but maybe they're going to explain it in the second one, and this is how I'm going to be okay with all of that ridiculous bullshit that I just watched, is that she was trained at Luke's academy for decades, and her memory was wiped. That would have made sense to me. So I was sitting there in episode 8 like, I'm going to hear now about how that happened, right? No, she's just a god. And it would have explained some stuff, but they didn't do that. And then Luke doesn't train her at all. Doesn't train her. He tickles her hand, and apparently knew she was a Palpatine the whole time, by the way. The whole time he knew. Okay, sure he did. Okay. But he doesn't really train her at all. But despite having no training and episode 7 taking place 24 hours previous, so she's still only known about the Force for about 24 hours. She's lifting all the boulders in the world. She's making Yoda look pretty weak by comparison. Yeah. Yoda sucks compared to her, and she's only been doing the Force for 24 hours. She's lifting the whole freaking mountain. How? Who knows? Also, she's a god with a lightsaber because she swung it around and trained herself on the island. What? Okay. Because I guess we just can't show Luke training her. That's like somehow a bad thing. To like pass the torch. We can't have it. Okay. Sure. And then in 9, she just goes complete god mode. She can do no wrong. She always knows what to do. She always knows where to go. She doesn't need Poe or Finn. They're just cheerleaders that follow her around. She legitimately doesn't need their help. She just goes off and does it. Every time, by herself. They tell her we gotta wait, you can't go yet. And try and find the thing on the ocean. The waters are too choppy. And then Poe is like, hey, let me instill some reason. Let's wait till morning. And she's like, okay. Just kidding, I'm amazing! And she gets in a skimmer by herself and just braves the waves, because she's a god! And she does it flawlessly, and then she defeats Kylo Ren, and she just, at every point, laughs and skips and hops through every little wall that comes up in front of her. There's not really any, she just dominates. And then the Emperor gets brought back just to get iced again. It really makes Luke and Anakin's entire story arc pointless. Anakin's not in this movie at all. He might, have a line when all the Jedi are telling her to stand up. I think maybe he got one bit of dialogue, but that's it. I'm not even positive. But they avoid Anakin like the plague in this movie. And in my opinion, if you're going to bring the Emperor back, who is integrally tied to the Anakin, and you don't bring Anakin back in some way, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Sorry. No. Burying the lightsabers at the end of the movie, that seems... If you're a Skywalker, why are you doing that? That's dumb. Nope. The editing and the special effects are amazing, okay? They're amazing. Some great visuals. That does not make a movie, though. That just makes a pretty picture. And I didn't want to see a picture. I wanted to see a movie. So, in my opinion, it's totally, again, I'm just going to keep repeating myself. It's okay if you disagree with me. In my opinion, this trilogy has no meaning or point. The first one is just a copy of the original movie. The second one, they let some random guy just nosedive everything they were doing into some completely different direction, being edgy and saying, oh, look, Star Wars sucks, bury it. And then the third one is just them taking that back and going, "Haha, just kidding. Look, the Emperor. Don't you still love this?" And it's basically a copy of Return of the Jedi. They all kind of copy and mirror 4, 5, and 6, you know? Like 4 is just legitimately plot point for plot point, a copy. And then the Emperor in The Last Jedi has Snoke. So Emperor 2.0 says, "Look out the window, your fleet is lost, give up, and she's looking out at the fleet and she can't believe it. A complete copy of when the Emperor says, "Look out the window, Luke, your fleet is lost, it is over." So they just copy that scene in The Last Jedi, and then they copy that same scene again in this one, and instead of Snoke saying, "Look out the window, Rey," it's now Emperor saying, "Look up in the sky, Rey, your fleet is lost, la 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 la." They just copy that moment twice. Back to back, they recycle it twice, yo. Shit. I don't know why in this version of Star Wars, I'm just going to start nitpicking now, okay? I don't know why droids' beeps are interpreted specifically. Like Rey hears BB-8 beep, and she like translates that and has like actual detailed conversations with him. In the original trilogy, Luke needed his nav computer to literally translate what R2 beeps so he can read and understand, or C-3PO translates for him, because people don't understand beep boop sounds, okay? Doesn't make any sense. One thing that I really want to point out is there was a video online you guys can watch where one of the fans at a Comic-Con asks the director, J.J. Abrams, "Are we going to possibly see Darth Plagueis the Wise?" Now, anyone that's a Star Wars fan knows who Darth Plagueis the Wise is, right? You ever hear the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Of course, I'm a Star Wars fan, but apparently in the video, this is an old video, JJ didn't know who he was talking about, and one of the Kasdan writers was like, Darth Vegas, and didn't know who they were talking about. And in my head, I was thinking either they're pretending because they're going to totally use Darth Plagueis, and this is a spoiler, so they're going to have to play dumb, or they legitimately have no idea who Darth Plagueis is. And the only way to know at the end is to watch all 3 movies. I've watched all 3 movies. They never used Darth Plagueis. So they legitimately didn't know who that was. Wow. And they were writing the scripts for these movies. And The Force Awakens hadn't even finished production when Rian Johnson started writing the second one. Are you seeing how there wasn't a connection from 7 to 8 to 9? Because I am. I'm seeing it. Also, JJ wrote out an outline for Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson did not use it and made up his own thing. There's that. George Lucas wrote out an outline for 7, 8, 9 when he sold it, and gave it to Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, and they said, "No thanks. We're going to just copy your original film and then make it up as we go." That didn't work out so well, in my opinion, from a story standpoint. Because each trilogy, in my opinion, if it's going to be canon and connect, it must all seamlessly flow from 1, 2, 3 to 4, 5, 6 to 7, 8, 9. People criticize the prequels a lot for having some weird CGI and some cheesy dialogue, you know, and there's some fair criticism there. But George Lucas, you can tell, really cared, and the story lines up. 1 goes into 2, 2 goes into 3, 3 connects to 4, prequels connect to the OT. It all really does connect, and the prequels expanded that world massively with the new planets, with the Jedi Council, with Coruscant, all of that stuff. So while there were flaws, they all connect. So going into the sequel trilogy, if you're looking at it as a fan and you want to see the story of 1 through 6 continue, you have to ask yourself, how does 6 connect to 7, and how does the OT connect to the sequel trilogy? So the questions you're going to have to ask is, where is Luke going at the end of Return of the Jedi? Where is Han going at the end of Return of the Jedi? Where is Leia going at the end of Return of the Jedi? And going off the movies, in Return of the Jedi, Luke tells Leia, "You're just beginning to understand your powers. You have my same abilities. You will soon learn them, and you are way more powerful than you possibly could imagine, Leia. You're going to find out." That's a really good clue of where Luke and Leia should have been going in Episode 7. That gets completely disregarded. Luke is not in 7 at all. The First Order magically appears, and they are oppressive, and the Resistance is on the run again, just like in 4. We have no idea how or why this happened in the past 30 years. There's no explanation for how or why this happened. We're just here again. It's just history's repeating itself. Here we go. Makes no sense. There's no connection. We also should have seen where Leia's going, not only with respect to the Force and the Jedi being resurrected, but she's going to lead the New Republic, kind of like Mon Mothma, and oversee its birth, as it were. The Empire fell, the Emperor is defeated, and she's going to lead this new portion of the government that will try and rule the galaxy, right? Not rule it, but oversee it peacefully. It's not an easy thing to do, right? Where does the Empire go, and how does it connect to 7? It's not completely gone. There's Grand Admiral Thrawn. There's huge outposts and fleets all over the galaxy. So while they were defeated and crippled pretty badly and mortally, I would say, there's a lot left to keep fighting back. You know, the tables might turn a little bit, and the Empire might not have the upper hand anymore going in, and we'll see where that dynamic plays out, but we never do, because by now with the First Order, who knows, and we're here. You know what I'm saying? And then you have Han. Han was this rogue, this morally ambiguous character in 4. He shoots Greedo under the table first. That's what happened. And if you don't think Han shot first, you know what? Maybe you don't want to keep listening to this review, okay? Because Han shot first, guys. Hashtag facts. And that made him kind of morally ambiguous. Whoa, who's this guy? He's kind of a bad guy. He's doing jobs for money. And then at the end of that first movie, he follows his conscience a little bit and does the right thing and saves Luke. He goes out of his way to save Luke because that's what friends do, right? And then in 5, he's got to kind of deal with the sins of his past, and some bad things happen to Han Solo. And by 6, he's really turned it around. He's a leader. He's a general. He's going to be a family man. He loves Leia. You know, that bond is tight because they love each other. It's true love. They're together. And then in 7, it's like, just kidding. It's a sad ending. They got divorced. How? Who cares? Shut up. They're not together. He's a deadbeat. He's back doing the things he did in the first movie. He's a smuggler. He said, screw his kids, screw his wife, screw Luke. I'm just going to smuggle tentacle aliens with my boy Chewie in the Falcon, like the good old days, and have a midlife crisis. So his character does a 180 out of nowhere. That's really sad to see. Doesn't feel genuine to who Han Solo was. If you're going off 4, 5, 6, it just seems like, what the fuck? Luke hiding on an island, crying, and drinking green milk, and not helping, letting Han die. That's not Luke Skywalker. Luke going into his nephew, his family's tent, while he's sleeping, and igniting his lightsaber. That's unforgivable shit, because that's not Luke. I don't think that's even Anakin freaking Skywalker levels, man. He would do that to Tusken Raiders, not his family, okay? And that's backed up by Mark Hamill, because Mark Hamill said famously in a lot of interviews, you know, I told Ryan a Jedi would never give up. He might go to an island for a bit, but eventually he would recuperate and get back at it. That's the Jedi way. Apparently not, though. Apparently not. He just sits on an island like a baby and lets Han die. We don't even see his reaction to Han's death because they cut it from the movie. Just like, wow. Again, shitting on Luke Skywalker. Wow. And Mark Hamill called him Jake Skywalker, and I don't blame him because that's not Luke. In my opinion. In my opinion. Maybe he's Luke in your opinion. I just want to point out that the actor who played him for decades called him Jake. Okay? Just going to point that out. Just point that out. What else? And then Luke's all about the Jedi again in this new movie. So he's not in the first movie, and then he's like, the Jedi have got to end, they suck. Oh, but now they're great again. Just kidding. Go Jedi. What? What? Also, they write in the opening crawl of The Force Awakens that Luke leaves a piece of the map to find him for a very vital reason, because it's important. And then in the very next movie, he's like, why are you here? I came here to die. there's no point to me being here. Like, what? You literally said there was totally a point in the movie right before this one. And now you're just going, nope. Here, want a fish? Like, you suck, Jake. I feel bad for Adam Driver, because he's a good actor. He's really good. And he makes the most of what he does in these movies. Which is just a trampoline for Rey to jump on over and over. They treat the actual, real last Skywalker with no respect. He gets tossed down a hole for the finale, doesn't participate, and then just dies. And then Rey takes his name, takes Luke's X-Wing, takes his helmet, buries the lightsabers like she's burying Star Wars in some weird, creepy metaphor. I don't know. In case you haven't noticed yet, I really didn't like it. I think it's a bad movie. Yep. And it's okay if you disagree. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody by saying that. It's just as someone that really likes 1 through 6, these movies make no sense to me. And when Kathleen told George at that table in that video on YouTube that the most important thing for her was to look after these characters and preserve them in the way that they were created and respect the way that they were going, whether you intentionally didn't accomplish that or not, that didn't happen. Straight up, that just didn't happen. Okay? Mission not accomplished there. Maybe you tried. You failed. Probably should have listened to George instead of ignoring him. And the lesson here for me is, if you're going to make a trilogy, if you haven't planned it out from the beginning, if there isn't a skeletal structure of like, here's where 7 starts, here's the middle of 7, here's the end of 7, here's the beginning of 8, here's the middle of 8, here's the end of 8, here's the beginning of 9, here's the middle of 9, here's the end of 9. If you didn't have all of that figured out before you wrote The Force Awakens, you done fucked up. And it sounds like that's what happened. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. What else? Chewbacca just cries when Leia dies and falls to the ground. And everyone's like, okay, Chewie, I guess. Oh, there's this one part that was comical to me. I'm not trying to make fun, but really this was ridiculous. So Poe, through exposition once again, because it's just exposition central all day, every day, Poe has to explain, like, hey, remember in The Last Jedi, we sent that Caul out, and no one showed up, because it was implied in the movie, there is no fleet left. That the Resistance, or whatever you want to call it, is like 5 or 6 ships. And then, like, Poe gets very depressed. He's like, you know, I wanted us to win, but there's just too many. But if you hope enough, and you believe enough, and you believe in goodness, yeah, then the good guys will show up, and they do. And like legitimately infinity ships all at once just boom come out of hyperspace, and they're there. And it's so many, it's comical because it looks like there's no space between them. It's so many ships. It's like they said, hey, how many ships do you want? And the director was like, yes. That's how many ships there are. There should have been explosions because there was not enough space in space to navigate. That's how many ships existed when they all came out of hyperspace. It was overwhelming to the eyeballs to be like, this is so many ships. That happened. At one point, Kylo's TIE Interceptor, whatever it is, flies really low and tries to, I guess, run Rey over. And the only reason I can imagine this being in the movie is because someone said, dude, wouldn't it be dope if, like, there's this TIE fighter, like, at ground level, and Rey's, like, running, and she backflips over it like a badass? And they, like, based an entire movie around that one idea or shot. That's why this is in the movie. Because if you're Kylo, why on earth? The only way she could mess with you is if you get low enough where she can physically touch you with a lightsaber. Which is what you do. So unless your plan was to get your entire ship destroyed, which it does, you're an idiot, dude. And she literally, like, I'm not kidding, when this sequence starts, it's almost like she's winking at the audience, because she hits a pose, she goes, and she stops and freezes. And then she slowly turns behind her, like acknowledging, do I get to start the race yet? Like, it's really weird. Because if you were actually in the moment, you wouldn't be posing for anything. It feels like she's posing for the camera because she knows there's a camera there, and she's got to do this badass pose to the camera. When in reality, you would just like start preparing and running. Also, everybody runs around with their lightsaber on for no reason in this movie. Like, they're always just like jogging with their lightsaber activated when there's nothing around them that requires it to be activated. I don't get it. I don't get it. But okay, there's that. Rose is like barely in this. She's never in this really at all. She's got like a couple of lines. They relegate her badly, which I don't care about one way or the other, fine. But why did you waste all of our time with her in the second one if she's not in this one? Seems like that was a lot of valuable time we could have dedicated just to Finn or just to Poe, but instead we just give it to her and then she's not important again. Okay. I guess. What else? Emperor looked cool. He looked really cool. I don't think that they earned bringing him back, and it's not validated in the story or the script, because dialogue is a function of character, or it's supposed to be. Dialogue is supposed to be a function of character in script writing. And when it's exposition and not a function of character, you just have scenes taped together. Each movie feels like it's its own separate adventure that's not connected. 7's its own thing, then 8 does this thing, then 9 does that thing, and none of them line up together. And there's all this is another point I wanted to address. I really wanted to address this point. There's all this forced camaraderie where the script indicates to the audience, oh look, they're a group, they've been together, oh look, they're bickering, oh look, they've been together for a while now. But that's really fake, because they weren't together at all in 8, and they weren't together at all in 7. They're all separated. So they try to force this feeling of camaraderie and kinsmanship that hasn't been earned through the trilogy. Also, I want to point this out. In 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, there is 3 years in between movies to like take their time and really grow the trilogy. There's only 2 years in between for this one. So the prequels and the originals were made in about 6 years. These were rushed in about 4. See what I'm saying? It's a pity, because Kylo Ren to me had a lot of potential too. Because in my opinion, because I know Kathleen said there was no source material. Bullshit. There was decades of books, decades of comics, decades of video games. You had so much decades of radio plays, like so much infinite Star Wars in the EU. And Kylo Ren really plays like a combination of like Darth Revan and Jason Solo. Because in the EU, guys, and what I think should have been the story, to some degree or another, is you focus on the next generation of the original characters. So you could have just written Rey to be Jaina Solo. So just erase her name. Who's Rey? She's no one. Who knows? Can she be Jaina Solo? Because that would be cool. And then it would make sense that she's trained, because she's a freaking Skywalker and a Solo. How cool is that? Come on. But yeah, in the EU, Luke marries Mara Jade, a super powerful Jedi in her own right. And they have a kid called Ben Skywalker. And they teach that kid the ways of the Force. Obviously, he's named for Ben for specific reasons. Kenobi. They rebuild the Jedi Order together. And Leia goes on to oversee the New Republic, while Harrison Ford becomes a dad and raises Jaina and Jason Solo, and even Anakin Solo, and they have 3 Jedi kids. So you could have had Ben Solo, Adam Driver be Jason Solo, you could have had Rey be Jaina Solo, and then you could have introduced Ben Skywalker, Mara Jade. How exciting is this? Would have been amazing. And who knows where the story goes there, but you would have somewhere to go. And you could have Han, Luke, and Leia oversee things, and Jaina, Jason, and Anakin really take over by the middle of the second movie, probably, right? It's a real passing of the torch that makes sense with the story that came before. Right? Right? And then no one's gonna call Rey Mary Sue because she's Jaina Solo, and her teachers are Leia and Luke Skywalker, sucker. No one's gonna call Jaina Solo a Mary Sue because she's not, and neither would Jason, and neither would Ben Skywalker. None of them. None of them. I would have set Episode 7 picking up at about that timeline, so all of these characters would have existed, and the opening crawl would have had to explain a little bit about that. So my opening crawl in Episode 7 would have explained things like Luke and Mara and their child and the Jedi Order and the New Republic and Han and Leia and their kids and what's going on. And their kids are all teenagers going into their 20s, and here we go. 7, 8, 9. What an adventure. It's a shame. What else? Oh, at one point there are horses with bow and arrows in this movie. Horses and bow and arrows. And they're on this Star Destroyer type ship. And the people that are inside the Star Destroyer even know about it. They're like, sir, they're on the thing. And they're like, well, send out the whatever. And they're like, but they're not on whatever. And then it shows them on horses, and they can't deal with horses. Oh, the horses. And this reminds me of them just like mirroring Return of the Jedi again. Oh, look, it's the Ewoks with their spears defeating the Imperials. Oh, look, it's people on horseback with bow and arrows fighting the odds. All you gotta do is rotate your ship left, right, up, down. Every single one on that ship dies. Everyone's dead now because they all fall off. Instead, they don't do that because they're super duper dumb. Oh yeah, they also explained the Holdo maneuver in Episode 8. They explained that away with more exposition because someone goes, we're gonna need a Holdo maneuver. And then they're like, that's a 1 in a million, man. That wouldn't work again. How do you know? How do you know it wouldn't work again? Because no one's ever tried it before, and the one time you tried it, it worked magnificently. Fucked up their whole fleet. You were batting 1,000 with the Holdo technique. So if you have a brain, you're like, let's try that one again. In fact, let's just put a droid in an X-Wing and see if we can not even lose one life. These seem like pretty sweet maneuvers. No, they explain it away, and they're like, hey, The Last Jedi was wrong. Shut up, Last Jedi, you're stupid and drunk. That's what they do in this movie. So no one ends up happy, because everyone gets shit on. What else? Yeah. Oh yeah. So Leia, Carrie Fisher, rest in peace, Carrie. It is so obvious that they just pulled footage and acted new lines at her, because the conversations that Rey and her have are so vague and open-ended because there can't be any specific conversation happening because there was never one filmed. It's just her talking at some vague dialogue from Leia from years ago. It is awkward. It is obvious. It sucks. And they try and build up this relationship between Rey and Leia that does not exist, was not earned. Like when Leia hugs Rey at the end of The Force Awakens, instead of Chewie, it's like, you don't understand the story. She doesn't know who Rey is yet in this story. Chewie, she does know. Han just died. You should be hugging Chewie. And instead, they just force this camaraderie all of a sudden at the very end. Like, oh, and they're like really tight. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because I've watched the full 3 movies. They're not tight. They barely talk. Like C-3PO calling them all his good friends. Like, are you? Has any of them even talked to you in 7, 8, or 9 past like one sentence, 3PO? You know what I'm saying? I don't think so. I don't think so. You didn't earn that through the script. You didn't earn that through the story at all. And yeah, it's just really clear they hate Luke. They want to minimize Luke as much as possible. Lando's in this movie as a decoration. He's just there. Okay. Doesn't really do much. Flies the Falcon. He's there to be like, hey, look, Star Wars, remember? Yes, that's Lando. All I could think of was that now he likes robots sexually, because they just randomly established that in the press a couple of years ago. So that's what I was thinking about. Like, how's the robot situation going, Lando? I imagine quite well. Okay. It was good to see him, though. It was good to see the real Lando, I'll be honest. It sounded like Lando again. It looked like Lando. It was Lando. That was nice. Should have happened 2 movies ago, but at least it happened. Wedge Antilles is in the Falcon for like 1 piece of dialogue. Okay. Cool. I guess. Again, really good effects, really good editing. Visuals were stunning. Oh, Hux is the spy. Haha! Gotcha. Didn't see that coming, did you? Ooh, Hux is actually a good guy, I guess. And then they shoot him and kill him. There goes Hux. Okay.
Fear attracts the
Rip Hux. Great actor, by the way. The guy who plays Hux is a really good actor. Props, dude. What else? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. He's like, I'm not necessarily a good guy. I just need Kylo to lose. Also, yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Now you can have Force Skype conversations whenever you want, and you can duel people even when they're not there. Like, they break the rules of the Force so much in this movie. So they're on completely separate planets, like totally different areas of the galaxy. And even so, Kylo reaches through time and space and grabs her necklace off her neck and then gives it to his officer to analyze, and they realize where they are located now. So you can just basically force teleport like you're in Star Trek and go, haha, and grab stuff and bring it with you across planets, solar systems. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And they're like lightsaber duel, even though they're not in the same space. Like, bruh, what are you doing? You know, Mary Poppins flying through space, just nonsense, total nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, the Knights of Ren are there. I just forgot to even mention them because they're that forgettable. They're just some dude. Everyone has basic technology in this. It's like Mad Max, Star Wars. They're all brandishing like axes and bow and arrows, and they're riding on motorcycles with wheels. At one point, they're shooting bow and arrows, dude. Okay. They show an Ewok at the end for like 4 seconds. You're like, yub, I guess. Yeah, I like Ewoks. They're cool. I remember. Everything Mark Hamill said to the press, in my opinion, was true and validated. He spoke up when most people were too scared to, and I want to thank Mark Hamill for speaking up as a fan and saying this is not how it should be. I fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made for Luke. This isn't Luke. You were right, Mark Hamill. Rian Johnson was wrong, in my opinion. He should have listened to you. And who knows Luke better than Luke? Please. You really think you know Luke more than Luke, Mr. Johnson? Oh, I don't think so. And history will remember it that way, because these trilogies, or this sequels, movies, yeah. What else? Hi. Yeah, the night sucked. There's some cool stuff at the very end where Kylo just like kills a bunch of people with one of the Skywalker lightsabers. That was cool. He does some cool Force stuff. It's not totally over the top. He's a badass. You know, Kylo Ren fucks some shit up. Nice. Sweet. That's cool. Great. I think that's it for me, guys. This is just my opinion, but I don't consider these Star Wars. This is not the continuation of 1 through 6 for me. It's just $4 billion lazy fan fiction that was not planned out properly, was not executed properly, was shot beautifully and edited beautifully and advertised beautifully, and had some really good acting, but was just a complete betrayal of whatever Star Wars was before. And it's quite symbolic that they're burying those lightsabers on Tatooine, if you ask me. The positives are that The Mandalorian's pretty cool. We are still flying half a franchise. Mandalorian's pretty cool, so I'm not a total hater. And I can stomach Rogue One. Vader in Rogue One's badass. Vader in Rogue One is amazing. But the sequel trilogy, for me, is terrible. And if you feel differently, that's okay. But for me, it's just the worst. I would give The Force Awakens a C minus, because it's just a really lazy copy of The Force Awakens. I would give The Last Jedi an F, because it really, really did, whether you agree or not, that it's a good movie. I think you do have to agree that financially it hurt Star Wars, and it was super divisive, and it did hurt the fan base. You know, whether you like it or not, that movie was not good for business. And for me, I give it an F. I think it's awful. And then I would give this movie like a D minus. So I guess it's a little better. It was kind of cool seeing Luke and Leia training together. That was kind of cool for a couple seconds. Yeah. BB-8's cool. I like BB-8. I like BB-8, okay? I have a BB-8 robot that my apprentice Darth Meow Meow plays with. BB-8's cool. Coneface sucks. Boyega should have gotten a character arc. He didn't. Poe should have gotten a character arc. He didn't. Rey is unfortunately a huge Mary Sue and makes no sense in the lore of Star Wars. She's just a god. She can do Force Lightning. She can do anything. They brought Emperor back for no reason, completely negating Anakin and Luke's purpose through 6 movies. They just have no point now. But I guess it's okay because Luke and Leia are like smiling and looking at Leia do this stuff. So, whatever. I had to get this off my chest. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. If you agree, let me know in the comments below. I hope you're not offended. You shouldn't be. Opinions are just opinions, and we all share them. And I respect you. If yours is different than mine, that's okay. It's just a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. Yes. Now, I'm going to log off, and I'll be back in like 30 minutes, and we're going to do a regular stream of Battlefront 2, okay? I just want to upload this to YouTube, get it off my chest, be done with it. I had to do it. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. May the Force serve you well. Yes. And, there's hope. And while I don't consider these movies canon or Star Wars at all, Baby Yoda is awesome. The Mando is awesome. And there's some good stuff out there. It's gonna be okay. Alright. I'll see you guys in like 30 minutes, okay? Go get some lunch. Let's play some video games.